Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israel's military has updated the number of people it believes are being held hostage in Gaza up from 155 to 199. More than 2,700 people in Gaza have been killed in retaliatory strikes by Israel, which is also blocking fuel, water, food and medical supplies from entering the territory. Here, rescuers digging for survivors under the rubble. Around 1 million Palestinians are now believed to have fled southwards from northern Gaza. That's according to a top UN official, ahead of what is expected to be a major ground offensive by Israel. The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, returned to Israel for meetings after several days of diplomacy between Arab states in a bid to prevent a wider war from erupting. Leaders have been calling for borders to be opened to allow people to flee and to allow aid into Gaza. Palestinians here gathering at Rafah border, hoping to cross into Egypt.
The humanitarian situation is one which, of course, we're concerned about and that I've raised in all the calls and interactions I've had with other leaders from across the region, and in particular, making sure that we can try and get the Rafah crossing open. That will ease the humanitarian situation. That's why I prioritised speaking with President Sisi of Egypt early on last week to talk about that, and we will continue to do everything we can to alleviate the humanitarian situation on the ground, including moving some of our Royal Navy assets into the region who can provide further support as required.
Meanwhile, a man has been charged with murder and hate crimes after allegedly stabbing a 6-year-old boy to death because he was a Muslim. Joseph Suba is accused of killing Wadea al-Fayoume and seriously wounding his mother in Plainfield in Illinois. The landlord allegedly targeted the pair, who were his tenants, because of their religion and the ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel. President Joe Biden said he was sickened by the attack. An exit poll suggests the right-wing populist Law and Justice Party is on course to win most seats in Poland's general election, but it is unlikely to secure a third term in office. Known as PIS, it is set to win 36.6% of the vote, with the centrist opposition on 31%. If that is correct, Donald Tusk's civil coalition has a better chance of forming a coalition. He is aiming to end 8 years of PIS rule.
This period of taking Poland to the margins of Europe, of breaking rule of law, rules of democracy, this is ending. The ruling party has no coalition capacity, so I'm sure that within the next few weeks the current opposition will be forming the government.
Germany and the European Union have urged the Western Balkan countries to overcome their conflicts and to grab the opportunity to move closer towards the European Union. At the so-called Berlin Process Summit of Western Balkans and EU countries, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz told the region their disputes had continued for far too long and that they held the countries back. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the Union intended to open its market to Western Balkan companies under the condition that the countries grant market access to their neighbours.
We are opening it in areas like free movement of goods and services, road transport, energy, electricity, the EU's digital single market, and very important, making cashless payments easier with a single European payment area, just to name a few elements.
Police in South Africa have launched a manhunt for an escaped suspect accused of pretending to be a doctor. Police say Kingsley Lito Chele is a Facebook con artist who targeted women by misrepresenting himself as a doctor or a pharmacist and scamming them of their hard-earned money. He is accused of swindling health professionals out of thousands of rands for projects that did not exist. And Denmark's Prince Christian has marked his 18th birthday, stepping out onto a balcony of Copenhagen's Amalienborg Palace and waving to crowds of well-wishers. Prince Christian, who is second in line to the Danish throne, stepped out with members of his family, including his parents, Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Prince Mary, and his grandmother, Queen Margaret, to greet members of the public who had gathered in the courtyard below. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.